All right, to take these conversations further, we are being joined by Mr. Garland Nixon. He's a political analyst and radio show host from Maryland, United States. Mr. Nixon, good to see you on WION.
Thank you for inviting me again.
There is so much I want to talk to you about, but let me start with this. I was looking at a few interviews that you did before, and in one of them you said Joe Biden is the worst U.S. president that America has ever seen. I want to ask you about a person he has endorsed, Kamala Harris. What do you make of her and her journey so far on the campaign trail?
Well, so far on the campaign trail, the Harris campaign seems to be doing everything they can to hide her. They're not, she's only done one interview. So we are not able to see her and hear her. If you go on her website right now, you can't find anything about policy. There's some merchandise there. There's an introduction to her and her vice president's family. But there's no, as they say, there's no meat on the bone there right now. I think a lot of, U.S. voters want to hear her policies and they want to see and hear her. And so far, that's just not happening. And I think that's a problem for the campaign.
Do you expect any meat on the bone on the next debate we are going to see with Donald Trump?
I think there's going to be a position. There are going to be some positions that are going to have to come out there. There's going to be a discussion there. But to be quite frank, it's being moderated by the mainstream media. And the mainstream media in the United States has one job, and that job is to maintain the narrative of the current government, of the foreign policy establishment. So I don't expect that there'll be an opportunity for either of the candidates to stray from the current dogma, the current policy positions that the general people in power have taken. So I think it'll be more about Kamala Harris's ability to kind of stand on her own away from the administration, to establish herself as a credible and viable candidate that can represent the United States.
Right. You say that her campaign team is, in a way, hiding her. Well, whatever the strategy may be, it is definitely working because nationally she is ahead of Donald Trump, and most of the battleground states also she's doing pretty well. Where is Donald Trump falling short?
Well, to be quite frank, I think we've been down this road before in 2016. I really look at the numbers, and most of the numbers where she is leading is within the margin of error. And as long as things are within the margin of error, I will probably lean towards thinking that Donald Trump wins, simply because of the economic issues, because so many people are upset and unhappy with the economic issues, with the foreign policy issues. So she may win right now, but I do believe that Donald Trump has the edge because, as I said, if someone's up 1 or 2%, the margin of error is generally 4%. So you really don't know. Right. Also, RFK Jr. leaning towards Donald Trump probably will give him another 2.5%.
All right, Mr. Nixon, you make a very interesting point there. Let me ask you this. What's your reaction to Russian Prestons saying that Kamala Harris is his favorite?
A couple of things. Number one, if you look at historically what President Putin has said historically and stood by it pretty strongly, is that it doesn't matter. From his perspective, it doesn't matter who the United States president is, as he has put it in the past. The guys come in with the black suits and the briefcases after someone is elected and tells them what to do. And I tend to lean in that direction, too. We have a very consistent foreign policy if you look at the various presidents that have come to power. So I do think that is somewhat of, the word I would use is trolling. I think he understands that now we're going to get the usual, the Russians are interfering with the election. Of course, they're going to say it's Trump. So I think he's somewhat trolling our media to some extent.
All right. And before I let you go, I have some stats for you, Mr. Nixon. There have been 385 mass shootings so far. Last year, the number stood at 600. Why are we not hearing much about the gun laws in America?
Well, the truth about America is this. America is not one culture, not a single culture, and it's not a single entity. As an example, there's a big difference when it comes to guns. If you live on a ranch in Montana that has rattlesnakes and wolves and bears, and you have to go around the ranch and check the fences, and your life could literally be in danger from wildlife, or Florida or Louisiana swamps with gators, or if you live in downtown Washington, D.C. And that's something that our politicians don't normally acknowledge, that the reality reality is we probably need different gun laws for different parts of the United States. And there's such a huge number of people that live in these rural areas that are in favor of, more in favor of more liberal gun rights, that no politician is going to push back against that too much because they would simply lose too many votes. That's a reality, right, wrong, or indifferent. And that is an electoral reality that will prevent our government from acting in the manner that they probably should for more gun restrictions, particularly, I would say, in our heavily populated areas.
All right, Mr. Nixon, thank you so much for those interesting insights, I must say. Thank you so much for speaking with us. It was a pleasure. For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.